Yeah, so this is China Chronicles Part 2, and that light's there. I don't know if I want that there. So, since the Younger Dryas, um, every event that's happened, like every exchange that's happened, has happened, obviously. Um, but they've been driven to happen towards the negative more so by what I call the nefarians, the nefarious ones. That's anyone in a position of power or my neck's fucking killing me, or just like a teacher, a bully police officer. You know, I I'd I'd advise or some advice for a good book to read about energy and just how to treat people. It is Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. I read that when I was maybe 19 or something. Yeah, Celestine Prophecy goes into just some of this, and it's poignant for ascension. Yeah, because people make decisions that will make others' lives harder or more negative, and this lowers the frequency because we're in the ascension, we're going through ascension, which is and why I'm also calling currently or lately a lot of the time the frequency war, that we're in a frequency war. It's between male and female as well. That might be a bigger thing than we actually know it to be. Um, yeah, so what they do through um, medicine, education, food, mortgages, the 40-hour work week, whatever mechanisms, war, overpricing, um, scarcity, scarcity model sort of propaganda to keep everyone under the thumb, under the pin, or whatever, under the thumb, to keep their energy quotient, if you like, or frequency quotient low. They use all these mechanisms to do that because for some reason it suits their purpose. And I would say their main purpose would be the souls that get carnated or reincarnated here in the example of Earth going through this, that the the caliber of souls or long frequencies would be much lower than otherwise would get to come here. And it, of course, is moving towards entropy, that like total entropy, which eventually will be the extinguishment of the universe. For whatever reason, they want to make that sooner rather than later, or sooner than it otherwise would have been. Because then there's negentropy. It's like good versus evil. Um, yeah, because I often wonder why don't they have satellites? Filming the Earth. You could have four on each hemisphere, and they film the Earth, and then you could, with a warrant type system, when there's a crime, like only the major crimes can use this system, that warrants would be gathered or would be awarded by a judge to the officers or the law enforcement sort of people who's in charge of whatever has gone on. So let's say a murder, and then so they get a warrant to use the, what could we call it? What could we call it? Yeah, we need a name for this. And I understand there's satellites way out, way out as well. Like I saw that sometime. What could we call it? I don't know. Crime. I don't know. And so then they would basically sit in front of a computer, then with joysticks would look at footage of who, so let's say there was a murder and the culprit left a building. And then so all the people would be watched and followed because everything has been recorded, has been filmed. And yeah, and it's only for the harshest crimes. So it's good, but SACEM as well. My idea of SACEM would be around to keep a lid on any nefarious activity or nefarious usage of such a bit of kit, so to speak. And yeah, and so they track the person walking, um, see where they went, and then they'd basically be able to bust them because they'd find them so quickly. And then I'll, I'll just get to the end of this bit. And what would this do? What this would do would would raise our vibrational frequency quite a lot because people wouldn't choose to reincarnate here. Like these dickheads that serial killers or whatever else. Um, you know, they wouldn't reincarnate here because they just get busted doing their crime too easily. So why reincarnate here? It's perfect. So I've wondered for a long time why there isn't such a technology because I'm not all that smart, surely. I mean, am I the first person to think of such a thing? Um, and I think it's like even the Vatican, I've forgotten their name. I've forgotten their name. That's ridiculous. Is that a good or bad thing? We say that's a good thing, kid, because then fucking that means you're not on their case. Because the Catholic Church, that's it. Um, because the Catholic Church, they want nefarious activity, and this, even my sister must want this on some level. She works for the Ministry of Housing, so she must feed off people who are down and out. So she's a piece of work. Anyway, so moving on. And we should get back to actually the matter at hand, which I'll think about. And look, I've realised I've gone off the track, basically, and I need to get back on the track. And that is get back to, where did I leave the China Chronicles actually? Yeah, so I talked about the cops pulling me over 2 times in 3 days, meeting the guy Alan who could sell my car, but wait, I should say, and meeting temp worker in the job network agency who, after I told her I thought about teaching English overseas, found an ad in The Age and ripped it out and gave it to me the next appointment we had. Um, yeah, Alan selling the car. Like, I wouldn't have known how to sell the car, and I probably, if I had have known it was on finance and therefore not allowed to be sold, I'm pretty sure I didn't know if it was on finance, or did I? I don't know. Normally I thought I'd remember something like that, but anyway, yeah, he sold it, and I would have known. Yeah, he said to me, I'm sure. Yeah, 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 he said to me, like, and I wouldn't have known how to do it. Um, or I guess you just sell it and just whatever. But that was interesting, finding someone that randomly when I didn't necessarily befriend many people that easily when I was out and about, like when I was just in a pub or whatever. Um, and then I bought the plane ticket and pissed up about the rest of the money. And when I got off the plane in China, which was on the 23rd of October 2003, yeah, um, I had about $120 in my pocket. That's all I had when I got off the plane in China, which was like 2 weeks later. So it was probably from word to go, from being handed the torn out classified, um, asking for Australian teachers, to when I actually got to China was probably 1 month. So like this was just the bizarre. Just here I am all of a sudden just in China 1 month later from saying to somebody, "Oh, I've thought about teaching overseas or whatever." Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, $120 when I got off the plane. This guy, Mr. Do, picked me up from Wuhan. Actually, I find that interesting too. That I went through Wuhan. I probably I went to Wuhan maybe 3 or 4 times or something. I wonder if I walked anywhere near the laboratory that was doing gain of function research on COVID. Just quickly, COVID or it stems from SARS, I think. They had this around in like the late 60s. So they've been working on this stuff for a long time. They knew vaccines didn't work. Just look into it. And anyway, so yeah, Mr. Do at Wuhan airport, and then we caught a taxi, and we jumped on a train, which was about however many hours, 6 hours I think or something, to get to Shangfan, because Wuhan's the capital city of Hubei, and my wife's name is Hu, and Hubei means Hu North, and then there's Hunan, which is Hu South, and Rose is my wife. She's from Hunan, and her family name is Hu. I don't know if it's the same character or what, but probably not. But um, yeah, and we got to Shangfan, and I was there sort of for 3 years. Then uh, what had happened at first? Oh, at first I so got to the school I was to teach at, and it was a private school, and it was the first private school that had been opened in in Shangfan, and it was like it was a, a husband and wife team, and then the husband was a high up police guy, and she was a what was she again? I've forgotten. She was a doctor or something. And so they had what they call guanxi. Guanxi, that's like relationship. When you know sort of well-to-do high up people, or using somebody higher than you to get something done for you. But having guanxi is like, yeah, having a relationship with someone higher than yourself, I guess, that can do stuff for you. Guanxi is one of the one of the currencies, if you like, one of the things that's most sought after in China. And then so his husband and wife team, so they would have had Hendor Guanxi, so they could open like this school, and it was sort of yeah, it was on quite a bit of land, and it was sort of backwards. Like it took 2 months or something before got a computer, and they're supposed to give that, and the phone and stuff took ages, and even even the heating system they put in was a like a under pressure sort of water in the pipes, and then they had some radiators. When they first installed it, which was looked like these farmer guys came in and installed it, they sealed the pipes with tar. Yeah, and so what would happen was it would heat up and it would stink out the whole joint. I was getting a headache from it, like, and so I had to, and also in the room next door there was a pot belly stove, and there was a guy who would fill the pot belly stove with bricks with these round cakes, um, that like a cake, yeah, with holes all in there, like um, which they could put the tongs in to pick them up. And anyway, this guy would have to put one in the potbelly stove every 2 hours to keep our heating going. And I was like, I don't want, I don't want some guy, like looking after me like that. Like, and then he would eventually, yeah, go to sleep. And so it was that cold, you know. I was, I one night, because it was that cold, Christmas came around, and yeah, because like I said, we got there in it was October 23rd, so you just got November, December, and they're like America, so the when Christmas is in winter time, and I was like having a dream that my mum had cancer, and then I was literally crying in my sleep. But it was all revolved around me being cold and just feeling lost, and like, where am I? What am I doing? Fucking hell. And anyway, so on the first day, the lady owner of the school, yeah, wanted to see a class being done, and I was shitting myself because I'd never taught anything. It was like, it was like, it was like, what the fuck? Just 1 month ago, I was just like depressed about getting busted drink driving 2 times in 3 days, which, and then now I'm in China teaching fucking English, and and I was in the end I wasn't bad at it, I think, and so anyway, um, she wanted a class, and yeah, just just sort of winged it, like talked about whatever. Who cares? But I want to say something about a name. So, like, I had a friend called Andrew, and Drew in the Chinese language means pig. So it's like Pig. So if your name's Andrew, you can be called Pig, right? you're, you're Pig. Sorry, it's just Drew. Drew means pig in Chinese, right? But I had this class, and I was asking, and I'd sometimes ask different students. Oh, and because I gave the names too, so like, because these kids had no foreigner or English experience at all, because usually they've all got an English name. So I put names into a well, just a little chalk box. Just and I put all names in there, and I put names that, of course, I could remember because it's tough work when there's 50 kids in the class. Yeah, they have 50 kids, and when there's 50, like thinking of 50 different names. So they were all names like of my cousins and people I knew, whatever. And so Drew was in there, and this kid had gotten Drew, and I didn't know at this stage. I didn't know for like 3 months. Every time I would say to this particular guy, I'd say, "Oh, yeah, do you want to answer the question, Drew?" And then the class would laugh, and I was like, "What's going on here?" and then and then finally they told me that because Drew means pig, so every time, every time I was calling out Drew, I was calling him a pig. So they're laughing. That was funny. And so Drew, because you've walked away from um, basically our friendship because you're fucking obviously a cocksucker, you know. And pig is your name, buddy. Right, I'm gonna stop this and then what are we doing? What? Um, 23. We want 23:32. 23:32 for you, 'cause my OCD. What a we. Beep beep beep. Dee dee dee. Are you a retard, Warwick? Sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Get out of here. Right, bye bye.